Alright, so welcome to a tutorial about Maya box modeling, kind of what we will go over in class. So I'm starting here with a blank Maya screen, untitled project, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it into, let's say, Maya demo. There we go. Saving is really important, and saving often is really important because we want to make sure we don't lose a lot of progress if Maya crashes, which happens sometimes. So, alright, so I have my mug in front of me. You can't see it, but it's in front of me. And I am looking at it, and I'm going to try to box model it. So model it in the lowest resolution possible. So what I'm going to do is start with a cylinder. So we can get a cylinder from just right here, the poly modeling shelf. If I press, it just kind of pops up. I'm gonna press delete, take that out. Or we can go to create, polygon primitives, and cylinder. So either of those work. So the very first thing we're gonna do is go over here to the attribute editor tab and click on poly cylinder. So this is all the properties that you can kind of change when the cylinder is just created. So what we're gonna change is subdivision's height. We're gonna change it to 4, just thinking ahead, because we might need to curve it and stuff like that. Subdivision cap, so up here, we're gonna change it to 2, so that we have a little kind of inside circle here, because we're gonna be extruding there as well. And then subdivision axis, because my mug has 4 legs, I've decided that I'm going to go with the number 24, just so it's a little bit more kind of round, less janky. You see here in the top view, it looks a little better when it's 24, in my opinion, than 20. It looks a little more kind of edgy. But that's all up to you. Nothing is set in stone here. Yeah, so this is the first thing we do. Cool. And then I'm going to just go into object mode and press R to scale, and I'm going to try to scale it into kind of the height and general width of my mug. So I think just about here is fine because it's a little bit taller than it is thick. Cool. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press right click on the mouse and go up to edge and let go. So this is our edge selection mode. And then I'm going to just kind of scale down the profile of the mug. So I'm going to press double click here. And a cool thing and an important thing that I want you guys to remember is with the scaling, you can scale just on one axis, which is going to make an oval, which is, we don't need that. So Command Z, you can scale on the other axis, which looks good from this side, but again, it makes an oval, which we don't need. But if we press right here, we just scale in uniformly. And I'm going into, so I'm pressing spacebar, and where my cursor is, that's the view I'm gonna be going in next. So I press spacebar again, and it goes into that view. So here I have my mug. So I'm going to scale it in a little here, double click, scale it in a little here. So in the kind of right and left and top and bottom or orthographic views, if you scale here from the middle, it's going to be scaling on those 2 axes because we can't see the axis pointing forward, so we're just kind of scaling in. I'm gonna scale this one out a little bit, maybe, and maybe this one out a little too. Yeah, there's a lot of tweaking here. I'm going to kind of be pretty quick with it, but you could spend quite a lot of time tweaking this just to make sure that it's kind of perfect. But yeah, let's see. I think I'm happy with this. So now I'm going to go back into perspective view. So spacebar, spacebar. And the next thing, now that I look at this from this perspective, I'm going to scale this out just a touch. kind of like this, maybe in a little bit. Okay, yeah, now I feel better about this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of the inside of the cup, which is pretty important. So I'm going to right click and go into face selection mode, release. And a cool thing you can do, instead of trying to select each face by clicking, shift clicking to plus, right? I'm shift clicking and I can select all of the faces like this. But if I accidentally double click, then sometimes it can select faces from the bottom and stuff. So what I like to do is click on it and press tab, and then we have this other cursor, and if you just click and not let go and just drag like this around, boom, it kind of selects all this for you. I quite like this selection method. So then we're going to scale this up to kind of the thickness of the rim that we want. I think I'm just gonna go just a little bit more. Cool. And then we're gonna extrude this down. So the shortcut for extrusion is Command E, or you could go to Edit Mesh Extrude. You can see again there's that shortcut. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, and then now you can extrude it down, but it's pretty hard to see where we're extruding, so I'm going to go without clicking anything. I'm just gonna press spacebar and go into one of the orthographic views. Let's go to the front, but it's still pretty hard to see, so I'm going to select over here, select the wireframe mode, so now I can see through the cup kind of, and I'm going to leave a little bit, a little bit here. It's awesome. Just press anywhere off of it and that's done. So cool, now we have kind of a cup, but I want to make sure that the inside walls kind of match the outside wall. So what we're going to insert 3 edge loops here. So for that we need to go into object mode, so right click, go to object mode, and then we shift right click and then drag it into insert edge loop, but we're going to go into this option box and release the mouse and the shift. And so what we're going to do, we're going to change these tool settings. We're going to go, instead of relative distance from the edge, we're going to say multiple edge loops, and we're going to put 3 edge loops in, and if we click on one of these vertical lines, it's going to give us 3 edge loops perfectly spaced apart, and yeah, it's much cool. So, and then an important thing to do right after you're done with this tool is to press Q to exit the tool, or else you're just going to be keep adding the edge loops, which is something we don't want. I'm doing Command Z. So pressing Q, that kind of gives back your mouse the little leg, and go into object mode, checking, nice. So now we can actually go into edge mode, double click here to select this edge loop, and spacebar into the front view, and I'm going to scale these down so that they're that they match. Let's scale this down, scale this one up. You kind of see what I'm doing here, not this one, but this one, up, nice. So actually I might no, I'm not gonna do that, it's all good. All right, so nice, now we have our cup. Looks like a cup. That's great. Awesome. We're good start. So next we're going to add our handle. So something I want to make sure that I do is for this specific one, I'm going to try to add the handle in the front view, right? So front is right here, we can see. Also the Z-axis is pointing front. Down here you can see. So, but an issue now is that we don't have one kind of solid face in the front. Both of these are kind of, split in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this cylinder, go into channel box, layer editor, and then press E to rotate, and see this one rotates the y-axis, so we're going to have to rotate it on the y-axis, and we're going to have to rotate it by 7.5 degrees. Boom. That's going to put it right in smack in the middle. So if we go in top view, we can see, yep, it's right in the middle. So that's great. the way I got this number is I divided 360 by the amount of the edges I have, so it's 24, and then divide that by 2 because we only need to move it half of one segment, basically. So that's how I got it. So if you have a different amount of edges on your cup, on your mug, then your number might be different than this one. So nice. So now in the PDF tutorial, after we're done with this step, your gizmo, this thing, is going to be a little skewed potentially, and this is because the axis orientation of, depending on your axis orientation, if it's set on object, then you see right away how this kind of skews, and I'm pretty sure that is the Maya original kind of way. So the reason why is because it is following the object's rotation, and it is rotated 7.5 degrees. So what we want to do is make sure we zero out this rotation, and we can do that by modify, freeze transformations. So see, it jumped back in to the normal view, and now our rotate is all at 0. So now this is the default position of this mug, and I'm going to go back, double click, and go into world orientation so that we always are oriented with the world. Yeah, so now we can start to find our front and extrude our handle. But before we do that, I'm seeing that the top part of my handle of the mug is kind of skinny. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this up. I'm gonna leave the bottom one as it is, pull this up a little bit because it's a little skinnier. I'm gonna go into vertex selection mode, grab these, click on this vertex, shift click on the other vertex, and then we can pull both of them up. Maybe I'll do the same with these, just to kind of create like a softer shape. We could also do the same with these, kind of making sure that we don't have too much distortion in our polygons at once. So that looks kind of nice. So all right, we're gonna go back into face selection mode, select this face, shift select this face. I'm gonna kind of rotate it around, and I'm gonna press Command E to extrude, and I'm just gonna go ahead and extrude them out. All right, that's awesome. So now this is the beginning of our handle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start to select them one by one, and we can start to manipulate them. So see how I'm selecting the face, and I'm sort of manipulating it around, making sure I don't skew it off center. So making sure I only work with this, with the Y and the Z axis, not so much with the X, just because my personal mug is all straight. So I'm gonna go down here like this. I'm gonna go select this face, rotate. So now I'm gonna grab this axis right here to rotate it up. Press W to move, go up a little. Nice. So I can always also go to vertex mode, select these two vertices, and kind of move those up as well as I please. Nice. And then I'm going to go into face mode, click, shift click, Command E, extrude. Now they're gonna just keep extruding out. So what I have to do is, again, select it, go E, W to move, kind of start shifting it into place as we kind of look at the reference. Same thing for this one. So start to extrude it out quite far, just because I already know that I'm gonna have 5 segments for this. So I'm going to try my best to kind of connect these together in 5 segments. So now I have 4. I have 1 more extrusion basically left. So now I see that this face is kind of a little larger than this, so I'm going to go into edge mode, double click, select this, and kind of nudge this over a little to have them a little more balanced. Back into face mode, Command E, extruding, cool, just click off of it, select this face, kind of nudge it in here. Actually, I might just take this face and put it down slightly. Cool. So I'm gonna take these vertices, select these two vertices, gonna go up, select these two, and go back in and up. And so now what I basically need to do is I need to connect both of these together, right? And the way I will do that is by so first I'm gonna delete these faces because we don't need them anymore, because this is supposed to be hollow, right? And then I'm gonna go into vertex selection mode, and here on the right is modeling toolkit tab, and there's a nice little handy tool called the target weld. We're gonna click on it, and basically what that allows us to do is just click and drag vertices like so to weld them together to other vertices. So that looks pretty cool. We are done with that. So then Q to exit the tool, and then now we can kind of go into one of our side views and select the vertices. I'm actually going to go ahead and go into wireframe mode and, you know, play around with them. Make sure that they kind of match our profile of the mug. So I'm gonna go in a little bit, just out a little like that. Cool, so I'm gonna just keep tweaking it. Nice. All right, so now I like the way it looks from this side, so I'm gonna go back into perspective view, and I see that it's pretty thick. So what I want to do is go into edge mode and kind of scale it down a little bit. Over here, scale it down. Maybe also actually scale it down this way as well. So scale it down and in, and scale it down a little bit. So now I'm going to again adjust them. So it's a lot of adjusting and readjusting. Just a lot of tweaking, as you will probably learn pretty soon. Okay. Nice. So now we have a nice, slightly thinner handle. So that's great. Okay. So now the next thing we're gonna do is extrude out the face of the llama. So go to face mode, select that face, Command E to extrude, pull it up. It's very nice. Then go back to the face. And we're gonna pull out the little nose part of it. So just pull out a little bit. I'm gonna go R. I'm gonna go scale it down pretty much right away because I know it's a little bit thinner. I'm gonna go into my vertices, adjust these to kind of match, kind of start blocking out what it's gonna look like. So this is a pretty nice blockhead, but we're gonna add ears, and we're gonna do that in object mode. Shift right click, go into insert edge loop tool again, go into the tool settings, but now we're gonna click relative distance from edge. And what that's gonna do is allow us to place an edge anywhere on this edge, place an edge loop, sorry, on anywhere on this edge, and we can kind of click and slide and then release it where we want it. So for the ears, I think I want to kind of keep it maybe around here. Exit out, Q right away, and then again in vertex mode, I'm going to put this this down a little, just slightly, maybe pull this up a little slightly, just so I have a nice head shape. Nice. So now we're gonna go back into face mode, Command E, and without clicking anything else, click R. So now we have two faces sitting one on top of each other because we have extruded it. So if we scale it in, we're gonna basically scale another face in here, which is nice. So that's exactly what we need for the ears. So now these are gonna be our ears. We're gonna press Command E to extrude them out. Nice. Great. So now we need to, so we'll extrude them out a little. And now we need to scale them down. So if I press R and I start scaling them down, they're gonna scale inside, right? Because they kind of scale towards this middle point. What we can do is double click here on the scale tool. You can see if you hover over, it says scale tool. And click on axis orientation and just click component. So now it's going to scale each component that is selected individually. So that's pretty nice, pretty neat. Then go back into world, and now we can scale them out a little so that they are scaled out, just like our reference. So I think I'm gonna select these edges and scale them in just a touch. Nice. So now we kind of have our llama head modeled. Very, very low poly, obviously, but works out. And the last thing we'll do is we'll model the legs. So again, we're gonna go into face selection mode and select these faces right here. Boom, boom, boom. Pressing tab, and see, I selected something else. Yep, my ears were still selected, so it was also scaling those. So I'm gonna click off of everything. Again, click here, tab, around, select those, and scale this out until, you know, about here. So I'm gonna have the legs there. Alright, so after we have scaled this up, we're going to select 4 faces that are going to be the legs. So the way so 24 divided by 4 is 6, so every 6th face is going to be selected. So I'm going to start selecting right here, and then I'm going to count 5 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another face, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another face, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in between. So now we've selected appropriate amount of faces. So, and they're all symmetrical. So now, you've guessed it, we're going to extrude it, Command E, and pull them down. I'm gonna pull them down about this much. And then I'm gonna make sure that, again, I have that component selected so that we can just scale them down individually. Nice, to about here. That looks about right. And then I'm gonna go ahead, go to, the world again after. Nice. So the last thing we're gonna do is put an edge loop or beveled edge right here, because if we were to smooth this out, everything else looks pretty good, right? If I press 3, it's the smooth mode, but these legs kind of lose their form a little bit and they're not flat on the bottom anymore. So I'm going to press 1 again. So we are going to bevel them. So in edge mode, shift select, these edges right here. We're going to just do them all at the same time. Yep, so all of them are selected, and we gotta make sure we're not selecting anything else, just these. And then we're gonna go shift, right click, bevel, bevel edge. We'll let go. So now it's beveled for us, but there's a little too much going on here. So if we press 3, I mean, it actually looks pretty good. So maybe we should just keep it at that. But in your PDF tutorial, I said to put the fraction at 0.05, and then the segments are 2. So let's see. So now it is pretty flat on the bottom. So maybe I'll put it at 0.1 or something for this tutorial. That's kind of nice. Okay, cool. So that's, we could see how that impacts our legs. Nice. So now we're gonna go back to 1, and we are done with the llama cup box modeling. So yeah, that would be the end of this video.